Hey, everybody, welcome to 2218's Attitude for Gratitude. This is Tad here, and you know I'm chilling with my best friend,
Timmy J.
Hey, man, I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Before we get into the show, which we got a great one for you today, and all the rhetoric that comes along with the beginning of the show, I want to take a moment just to honor a man. His name was Richard Giles, also affectionately known as Dick G. I'm going to read the plaque that sits on the wall of 2218 in the crying room, or the Dick Giles room, which is a room where many people have recovered. Back in the day, they used to throw him in there for 3 days and get him through the steps and get him detox that way. He walked in the doors here at 1964. And in recognition of over 5 decades of volunteer service honoring the principles and traditions of Alcoholics Anonymous, we recognize the contributions of Dick G for his tremendous service as a sponsor to many alcoholics, to Squad 15, the Alano Society of Minneapolis, aka 2218, including countless 12-step calls to Alcoholics Anonymous. His longtime service includes contributions with recovery of alcoholics in business and industry. For these reasons, we use this room for the Dick Giles, now and forever. He passed away.
If I'm not mistaken, isn't he part of the Alano Society Minneapolis vision to be the premier Alano clubhouse serving the greater Twin Cities that offers support and strength to those who suffer from addiction and their families? He was part of that, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, he's definitely part of that vision. He embodied it, and so he was one of the original board members opening New Way Treatment Center.
Oh, that's
those,
right.
Those guys from here that started that, he was one of those, and countless years on the board at 2218 and other things. Like I said, he walked here at 64. He was one of the first gold card members. I don't think we have a lot of those anymore because we've kind of done. Nobody really does
What
that.
kind of was a gold card? Like,
I think that 25 years or something. I don't know. That would be something. But so in his career, once he got sober, he became an alcohol counselor at Honeywell. And they created that.
No shit.
They created that position for him when he got sober because he was doing so well.
Could you imagine the life saved over there at Honeywell?
Yeah, it's sad. You know, I talked to a good friend, former President Bobby G. His accomplishments in recovery are only overshadowed by the huge heart he had.
Right.
He was just, like I already said, the crying room was named the Dick Giles room, and then, so in spirit of that, because we don't really take moments of silence on the radio, unfortunately. We will all do that after the show, I promise you. But in spirit of that and the ongoing crisis of 2218, of continuing to need volunteers and members, how Dick Giles grew this club was through sponsorship. He would get 3 guys and sponsor them, and they would become members, and they would each get 2 sponsees and vice versa. So I just ask you, if you're in the program, instead of pleading and asking you to donate like I usually do, which if you want to, we'll take your money. We'll take your money. The link is on there. Hey, man, we do need pledging members, but you know what's more important than that? Go out and sponsor a man or a woman.
Right. Service work.
Get a sponsor. Have some sponsees. Set the culture of love and healing, recovery that you want, what you wish you had. And we all have something to give someone. If you think that you don't have something to give someone, you're sadly mistaken. Because whether you're 1 minute or 29,000 million minutes sober, you have more minutes than the guy that came in the door after you.
Right.
So, that being said, thank you, Dick G. Here,
Yes, thank you.
on behalf of Attitude of Gratitude and 2218 itself and the community of Minneapolis and really all of recovery here in Minnesota. You were a huge part of that, and you will be missed.
Yes.
You are.
With that,
He's
Tad,
survived by this whole club.
yeah, just as of late, I'm unfortunately not too well educated on the man, except for the stories I've heard recently. With the Honeywell thing, this is the first time I'm hearing about that. Like, what an accomplishment. Who knows the countless lives that have been saved or impacted. And like you said, it wasn't even about that for him. It was just that sponsorship, the service work, the connection. I believe that you touched on it, but, just showing up is a form of service work. You might make that next person feel a little more comfortable to open up and help save a life. So as Tad was saying, he's not going to, but I'm going to let you know that this club, 2218, is one of the monumental reasons that I'm able to sit here every Friday and have a podcast with these fine people in this room. And I encourage you to follow that link young Matthew put up there. And if you're able to donate, please do donate. If not, come on down. Be part of this club. If you got community service hours or know anyone who does, come on down. They've got plenty of hours they can write off for you, or come be part of the club. Volunteer yourself, volunteer your time. It's all welcomed. We appreciate everything this club has done for us over the years. And you know what? With that said, we got some events we can already start talking about with 2218.
Yeah.
There's one coming up not
In April?
Yes, we've got, well, beside the Ride for Recovery, if I'm not mistaken, we've got some pretty big things happening here at 2218 First Avenue South.
Absolutely. Are you looking them up right now? Because we have 2218's 80th birthday. The club turns 80 this year.
Yes.
Woohoo!
Woo! You know what? That's part of the world's longest running Alano Club. We're sitting in it right now. Yeah, the 2218's 80th anniversary. We are celebrating 80 years of recovery service in Minneapolis. We're going to have lawn games. We're going to have a cake of all cakes, speakers, a 50-50 raffle drawing. It's going to be out of this world. Optional chicken taco lunch. Sunday, April 10th at 1:30 to 6 p.m. It's in the backyard on the deck. This whole area of 2218 is going to be just popping. So come on down. If you want to be part of that, donate some time. Be one of the people helping put this on, clean up, set up, all that stuff. Come on down here. Reach out to one of us. Otherwise, you can go to www.2218alano.org. Again, www.2218alano.org. And that, again, is for 2218's 80th anniversary fellowship, and it is free to attend.
Oh, hell yeah.
And then Ride for Recovery is, I don't know the date offhand. I don't recall.
It's the
I mean,
last
I am
weekend
kind
in June,
of
I
jumping.
think. I believe it's the last weekend in June.
Mr. Jones, Mr. Dan. We love it
Dan
when
Jones
people
is
just
here.
come swing
Dan
by.
Jones, hey, what? Do you know the exact date on the Ride for Recovery?
The 25th.
25th of June. Dan Jones is here, Board of Trustee member, and he's going to talk about the Ride for Recovery real quick and explain what it is.
Oh, welcome to the show, Dan.
He just walked in the door and
We
we
didn't
threw
know
him
he
at
was
this.
gonna be on.
Yep,
I'm always ready.
and go. We're on live air. We're burning air.
So, Ride for Recovery, June 25th. The membership, people that are all involved, we really, are looking forward to people volunteering to every part of the event. One of the things that I always like to really say is the ride is a wonderful thing, but it's really about the whole event and being here. And, I really would like to say that anyone that does ride, if they're interested in being certified as a road guard, look me up and a few other people, and we'll get you on the roster. So June 25th, there's a kickoff for the Ride for Recovery, which is Memorial Day weekend, Gopher State, that I've done for many years, and it's the more the merrier Gopher State Memorial Ride, and we're gonna do the kickoff for the Ride for Recovery at that event and sell wristbands and, really push the promoting the Ride for Recovery, so.
Oh, heck yeah. You just missed. We did a tribute to Dick Giles.
Yes, yeah, and Dick Giles, yeah, that, what's the date of his,
Do we know it yet, even?
yes,
He came
somewhere.
when he came in or when he died?
No, when the, memorial service, it's in the paper. So-
Bobby G just told me all that, and I didn't write the service down because I didn't know if it was tasteful for me to tell everyone where the service
Here,
was.
let me go here. I have it.
Yeah, Tad was telling us all
Okay.
some stories about him. If you had any you wanted
Yeah,
to definitely.
if you had a quick Dick Giles story, that would be great. I was telling secondhand stories and information about his life from Bobby G and the little bit of research I was able to do today.
All right. 3/16, 10 a.m. viewing 11 a.m. service, luncheon to follow. All of the above at Redeemer Lutheran Church in Fridley on University. Burial after the luncheon.
Is it an open event?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, they expect a lot of people to be
Yes.
there.
Yep.
That's a really big church that's right there.
Is that where
So-
Manny's service was? No.
Anyways, guys,
Giles was one of the people that had actually gone through the step classes the way they were designed from the early members, and he helped carry some of that on, as well as his contributing to the facility itself. And Dick
he outfound New Way, right?
yes, and and he also yes is one of the founding members of New Way.
I heard you could often find him in the crying room working with fresh alcoholics.
He the crying room, definitely phone all the meetings that were a part of the club, the pledge paying members of the meetings. There was many, and a lot of each group would chair the Saturday and Sunday and evening phones
Okay, yeah.
for because it was kind of the
Like a
start
duty
off
day?
of intergroup.
Yeah.
And
What was it, like a preceding?
Yeah.
prior to intergroup, in fact, intergroup I think kind of started right here at
It started in
2318.
this building.
Yeah, and so, and then the 24-hour hotlines started, and they would have people here constantly. When I first started coming to this club, it was still 24 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
So,
How many years ago was that?
and I've
Dan?
done a lot of the phone calls that would come in, and so it definitely you'd go out and try and people are calling and they're concerned about a member or a family member, or it's the person themselves, and you're going out and trying to help where you can and carry the message. And so
Heck yeah. Well, moving along, Elena, you got a segment ready?
thank you, and everybody, just look us up, and definitely, if you can volunteer, if you're not a motorcyclist, just volunteer and help out. Be greatly appreciated.
If you get a hold of me, because my number's public, I can get you a hold of with Dan. And now it is my favorite part of the show, the best part of the show, the highlight of my week, where I learned to take care of myself, and you can learn to have a little bit of self-love, put a twinkle in your heart and a twinkle in your eye, because it is the wonderful, beautifully talented, elegant Elena.
Bye, Elena!
Elegant?
Yeah! Let's hear it.
Yeah.
All
We got
right. Well,
class this
hello,
week.
everyone. I don't even know about all that. Sometimes I wonder about my friends, but I love them. Okay, so last week I had a little. I gave some tough love to some people, and this week I am gonna kind of bring in a little bit of something else. I want to talk about happiness.
Nice, good job.
And I want to talk about the fact that a lot of people feel that they need other people to make them happy. You don't need other people to make you happy. Other people shouldn't be the reason for your happiness. Your happiness should be something that you can have on your own, whether that be being able to be by yourself, stuff like that. I've talked about that on the podcast before, where we have to find a way to be comfortable with being by ourselves. We have to find a way to be comfortable with ourselves in order for other people to be comfortable around us. Being happy is a mental state of mind. It's an experience. It's a wonderful experience to be happy, and you might as well make it pleasant. There are times where we still get angry. There's times where we still get sad. Yes, that's part of life. But we also have to look at the fact that it takes more energy out of us to be angry all the time than it does for us to be happy. Being happy is amazing. When I think about being happy, I don't chase my happiness. And I don't want to push it away either. I have this thing where I like to push things away because that's the way that I am. I push people away. I push things away that can make me happy because I don't think that they're going to stick around or whatever. Like that could just be the addict in me also. There's a lot of barriers just with me personally. So I'm just want to tell people this week, I'm not going to have a long segment like last week, but I want you to appreciate yourself. I want you to actually look at yourself, and I want you need to build up your own self-esteem. When you build up your own self-esteem, it makes you happy. You don't need other people to build you up. You don't need other people to validate you to get you through your day. You should be able to do this on your own. What time?
Could we try something maybe? And it might
Yeah.
sound horrible from all of us, but can everybody in the room just say one song?
Well, I'm getting there.
Okay.
I'm getting there.
Yeah, okay.
So when I tell you about happiness, find things that you love. Find things that give you pleasure. Find things that give you purpose. Like with me, this recovery is one of the biggest things that give me purpose in life. I work with people. I go to meetings. I sit on a board. I come to this podcast. I call people. I answer phones. People give me their phone number last weekend. Somebody gave me their phone number at a meeting, and I sat and I talked to her for a while. There's certain things. There's little things that give you pleasure. I love kayaking. I'm so excited that spring and summer are coming so that way I can go do things that make me happy. So I'm gonna put something up on the thing throughout the show tonight. I want all of our listeners to write down 5 things in the comments that make them happy.
Get involved.
So if you are listening, I want you to write down 5 things in the comments tonight that make you happy. So that way other people can see that. So we're going to have Matt write that up so that way you guys can see that. Don't look at me like that. So we're going to have Matt write it up.
That's no good.
Yeah. Be happy.
That old jazzy.
Yeah. Oh,
And
wow.
we are going to
We're talking about happiness.
have you guys tell us what exactly you're happy about. 5 things. So that is all that I have tonight.
Elena.
That was fucking awesome. Hey, can everyone in the room just out loud say, hey, can everyone in the room just out loud, and this is going to sound like crap because we're all here, but can we all just say loudly one thing that we're happy about?
Yes.
A quality in
On
ourselves?
the count of 3.
Yeah.
1, 2.
My stay-to-itiveness. I didn't hear it.
Did you say something about state fair?
Stay-to-itiveness.
State-to-itiveness.
Oh my gosh.
I thought you said state fairness. All right.
Yes,
So
I love the fact that I go to the state fair.
I know we were doing things a little backwards, but I do need to check in with you. How you doing this week, Dad?
Oh, man.
Yeah, we did.
So, yep. But Dan walked in. We had a memorial. It's cool. I'm doing okay. I'm a little. So I've been really getting on this job grind. Hit some leads. For looking for a switch in pace. But then again, that being said, I was gonna make a rash decision and take a nighttime job, which would have threw in a wrench in how I act. And my home life. It would have thrown a wrench in everything because I would have had to sleep during the day, and it just would have been different. So I decided that, I didn't decide. I decided to put it out there to my significant other, so I didn't just make a decision because I had already made a decision. So then I put it out there and we talked it through. So I didn't, because Tad likes to do things. I respond. I'm a reactor, and I try to fix things right away. I see a solution and I try and do it right away. And in that's great. That's great in emergency crisis situations. But sometimes we can jump into something that's not best fit for the long term. So
Rash decisions?
and not even like, look, man, if someone's on fire, you have to put them out with water. So that being said, if the building's on fire, 1 cup of water is not going to do it.
Not if they're burning on oil.
Yeah, and not if they're burning on oil, like Dan said. So like, there's a point where you have to get to be able to. You can't see the future, but you have to look at what's best. Because sometimes, this decision, for instance, for me to take the nighttime job instead of waiting for the 20 places I threw applications in instead of waiting another week when this job will still be available in
Yeah.
2 weeks. Instead of just taking this job, screwing up my home situation and messing up everyone else's schedule, Mandy and the cat, they'd be very grumpy, and messing up my schedule, which, working overnights messes with my mental health. It does. It just does. I don't know many ex-meth addicts who can handle working overnights. I just don't know. It does something to your psychology, and there are some who can, but for me, it's that way, and I've talked to many other that feel the same way. So instead of doing that, because that's a short-term fix, that's a fix right now. And then,
Yeah.
and I don't have. I'm gonna stay a little long. What does it matter if I can't find a job till Friday and I have to take this job anyways? So I had to have a little foresight, and I had to communicate with other people about it, and I'm learning to do that, to communicate. And sometimes when I'm communicating, I can be too blunt. I've had this happen a couple times, so I'm just working through that. Other than that, I'm good. I'm looking forward to the reorder of the board this Monday.
Yeah.
So
Yes, we got some big things happening here at 2218.
I wanna, and I'll probably do this next week, but I want to thank Scott for his time on the board. He has done a lot for 2218.
Yes,
No man
Scott
has
has.
done, in recent years. No man has done more than this man, Scott
Scott L.
Larson.
has put blood, sweat, and tears into this club.
He has been a mentor and a dear friend to me, and learning some of the things I learned from him. Great, just I couldn't have got it from anyone else.
How many different angles did he help you grow?
Oh, probably innumerable
Yes.
to infinity and beyond. I don't know.
Right.
And I was gonna say something.
He
snarky
Buzz
there, but
Lightyear.
I went with Buzz Lightyear instead. I had like 5 comments coming in my head.
But good, bad, or indifferent, like that was someone who was placed in your life that every aspect of whatever ups or downs, you grew through it.
Yeah,
I've been alongside you watching
he
and being
challenged me
part
to
of that.
grow in many a good ways, and he's been instrumental in the podcast. His support from afar. We tried to get him on the show. Maybe someday we will. It's just because he's far. He lives somewhere else right now, and when he is here, he's super busy.
Yeah.
As president of an Alamo club and someone who runs their own business might be. So
Yeah, I know. You know what? And he was good, and he did put a lot of time into this club.
he has earned
and he's
his.
a good guy. Like,
Yeah.
we've tried numerous times to have him on this show.
Not-
Unfortunately, we just
It was our
did not-
fault the last time.
No, just technical
Yeah,
situations.
so no one's
We haven't
fault.
figured out how to get someone on the show who's not in the building.
So-
We're working on it still. I know Bob just got back from going down south
Yeah.
and visiting him, but. You want to know a side story? Bob, I was hoping was going to be here. He said he might stop by, but Bob didn't really know him until he just met him like at
Their
the
wives were
club.
friends, right?
But not even really. Like they just knew, hey, you're in recovery. Oh, I'm in recovery. Care if we come stay with you for a week? That's how it went.
Yeah.
Like he went down there with a group of people that knew them, Scott and Cheryl, and he ended up there. He's back from his second vacation down there, staying with them. So
Heck yeah.
I mean, it's part of what this club is and why it's where it's at.
Whomever the next president of 2218 may be, they have some big shoes to fill, and
Yes, they do.
good
I
luck
got my
and
vote in. I know
Godspeed
who
with
I
them.
want in here. Well, you know what? It's
I vote for Red Bull.
this.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, and that's this whole thing with the club. It's we want to be involved. I've always felt this whole the way just like anything political is. I feel I'm not at liberty to complain about a situation that I did not vote in. So
Right.
if I want to voice my opinion on the way things are going on here at this club, if I did not become a pledging member and get a vote in, who am I to dictate, say, share, or push my opinion?
If
on
you have
any-
no skin in the game and you're not, and
There you go,
and
no
you're
skin in
not,
the
and
game.
you're not breaking your back or shedding your blood, sweat, and tears to help
Right.
help this place,
right?
then
That's
what?
what I'm saying. It's like
Then look, man, sit down. If you want to help, become a pledging member, show up, volunteer, and in a year, you can run for the board yourself and you can get a
Right.
voice.
I mean,
Or
and
squad
you're-
councils are great. Squad councils coming back.
yes, and that's huge. That's real huge. So
Second Tuesday of every month from now on. So this upcoming Tuesday at 6:00 in room 28 will be squad council, and former president Bobby G will be there to help.
nice. See,
Yeah.
that's that old.
Scott did that. Scott helped set that up. Got in his
There you
ear.
go. That's another facet of what Scott was all about. Like that's so huge. Him and Cheryl. So Lena, how was your week?
Oh gosh, my week was really good. So I got to tell you guys something that happened. So
Come on.
So I had a friend, a good friend here that is listening. I'm going to give her a shout out, my friend Danielle.
Shout out Danielle.
And Danielle reached out to me and she wants me to keep an open mind. And in recovery, I like to keep an open mind and I like to be part of all of my friends' recovery depending on what they're doing and where they go and things that they do. And Danielle asked me to go to Serenity Village with her. And I'm not, a lot of people know that when I first came into this program, I was a huge atheist. And I don't know what happened when I was at Serenity Village on Tuesday, but I bawled my eyes out. I had goosebumps like crazy. Like it was a huge
Light of the
spiritual
Lord.
awakening. It was huge. I'm not saying I'm a 100% believer, but I will go back.
There you go.
And I just want to thank Danielle for opening my mind to that and making sure that I remember that I should always find a way to still be able to learn from other people and be able to process other people's way of life.
Hey.
So,
Closed mouths don't get fed, man.
yeah.
I'm glad you had that experience. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I think without further ado, I think we entered.
How's your week?
Week was good. Job's going good. Life's going good. No hiccups, no fall offs, no slips, no dips, no weekend trips. So you know what? I've been waiting to talk about this, and I don't know if now is the time. I'm going to talk about it on my tidbits. We're going to do that later.
Okay.
A couple minutes. So you know what I say we do?
Let's chop it up.
Chop it up. Like, share with anyone you know that could benefit from the show. Please like and share. Share it to your Facebook page.
And there's a lot of people answering the question and putting down their 5 things that they're happy for. So keep that coming.
Yes.
Tell
Be
us what you're
involved.
happy for.
Yes. Just like so, you know what? We've got a guest here tonight that I go to a men's meeting at New Hope Alano at 6:30 every Thursday. And it's a meeting of meetings. It was the first stag meeting I ever went to. About 6 months into my recovery, someone said, Tim, you should probably start going to men's meetings. And that's probably because my eyes weren't fixed on only the men in the room. And I was saying, sure. But I went to this men's meeting at New Hope Alano, and the first meeting I went to, I knew then that was my home group, and that would be my home group until I was done with recovery, which means that'll be my home group till the day I die. This is a group of men that share experience, strength, and hope. Every single Thursday that I go, I've made more connections in that men's meeting than I have probably in my entire life. The wisdom I get out of this group, the connections I've made in this group, it has saved my life. It's helped me grow. It's given me like a new purpose, one way of saying it. But throughout this next 6 months, we've got probably 3 more shows with other men from that Thursday night men's meeting from New Hope Alano that will be here tonight. The cherry breaker is Nick K. Would you like to introduce yourself, Nick?
Hi, I'm Nick. Squad 20 is also my home group.
There we go. I guess I kind of cut myself short. So Nick is someone from Squad 20 that I have met there who has stuck and stayed, and now I think I've given you an introduction. Who are you to that meeting, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I chair the meeting now.
Woo!
But I mean, in comparison to a lot of the membership in that meeting, I'm a newbie. By
Well,
a
what
long
would you
shot.
say the average amongst the elders that about what 15 or 20 years that's about the
Yeah,
average recovery
yeah.
time?
I mean, you can grab 6 guys out of that room and find over 100 years of sobriety
Yeah,
easily.
yeah. There's that one group that all have around 35 to 40 years, and they're not curmudgeonly old pricks either. They're,
No.
I mean, they'll be prickish, but to help save our
You
lives.
know who you are.
Yeah, yes, they do know who they are. But those are the men that like saved my life and helped me look at things in a different way. But I guess I'll precede a lot of this by saying what Squad 20 does is they will keep their eyes open, like the founders of this group. They see who's there really working some real recovery and showing up and being of service. And they grab someone with a couple years, maybe even a year, and they get them to chair the meeting. It gives someone some responsibility, a sense of accomplishment. That's what I want out of you tonight, Nick, is tell us about what this men's meeting's done for you, how it came about, and how you're there. And then I got a list of other questions from your fellow men from that meeting.
Awesome. Yeah, so May 18th, 2019 is when I walked into New Hope, Illinois for the first time.
Was that your clean, sober date?
That is my sober date.
All right.
The day before that, I was miserable, as most of us are. I didn't come in on a winning streak. But I walked into New Hope, Illinois, completely lost, completely defeated, and an older gentleman welcomed me and sat me down and talked to me and invited me to.
Do you remember who it was?
Yeah, it was Charlie.
Charlie. Nice
Yeah.
man. Charlie. Yeah, he was on the board there for a while.
Yep.
So he introduced you, or he came up to you?
I found him sitting in the office, and I just said, "Can we talk?" He goes, "Yep, shut the door." And we spent probably 45 minutes sitting and talking, and he just listened and smiled at me, probably thinking, "God, this kid is crazy, and I know exactly where he's at." But he invited me to Squad 20.
Have you ever felt not welcome or not part of?
No,
Yeah.
no.
Very
From-
welcoming, right?
Yeah, from the day I walked in, I knew I was home.
There you go.
And I know that sounds super cliche, but it is so true.
Hey, these sayings out the walls, I live by day to day now. I mean, I just do. Paul B from Will Work always talks about that. It's like, man, they're not just sayings. They're like life lessons and words to live by. And
Yeah.
for you at Squad 20, being asked to chair that meeting, what has that done for you in your recovery?
I guess,
Or has it done anything?
yeah, I guess for me, the first thing that it did when they first asked me to do it was it gave me a sense of pride, a sense of ownership, and it let me know that they recognized that I was still there, and I'm just, it was just an honor to be able to serve a group that has saved my life.
Right.
That group, they took me in with aggressive hugs and a whole lot of unconditional love, and they taught me what unconditional love is supposed to be.
Right.
And because of that, because of my sobriety, because of that group, I can honestly say I'm a better father, I'm a better boyfriend, I'm a better employee. I'm just an all-around better person, and it comes from
What you've gotten out of this? Is it? Would
Digging
you say
into the
life
book
lessons or what? I know, setting the jug down, putting the plug in the jug, all that. Like that's where we got to start. You can't grow
Right.
without stopping. But did this men's meeting help you with life lessons and being responsible, better father? You're saying like what? I want you to dive into that type of aspect. Like,
hey, you know why it did all that for me? Because they get into the book. They dig into the book, and that's
the
I'm
big
a-
book of
yeah,
Alcoholics
well, yeah.
Anonymous.
What book?
the big book, the big one, the big blue one. If you've seen it sitting on the table in your meetings and wondered, oh, what's that? Open it, give it a read. It's quite fun.
Usually with the sponsor.
Yes,
So do you have a sponsor?
I do.
Do you work like a program of recovery? Do you work steps? Like, is that something that's part of your recovery?
I do. I am in constant contact with my sponsor. We are constantly working on steps, going through the book, doing all that fun stuff. And it honestly, like, I'm a chronic relapser.
You have chronically relapsed in the
Yes,
past.
yes. I would get a bout of sobriety, I would do them my own way. I wouldn't do the steps. I wouldn't listen to my sponsors. You know,
So you've been in recovery before. You've been in the
Yes.
rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous, and you've tried attempts at recovery.
yeah.
Okay.
I think before this, my longest bout of sobriety was a year and a half or something like
And
that.
that was just dry drunk type thing.
Oh,
You know
yeah.
what that?
Oh, yeah, I was
Basically, just
miserable.
put the plug in the jug and didn't work a program. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
you
what?
know-
You're a happy-go-lucky guy,
Yeah. I guess.
or are you an
I-
ornery prick?
Well,
I mean, I don't know. Some people that work, whatever. Like I can tell something's different with you
yeah.
working a program. So I guess then that kind of changes a few things in my head. Is when you walked into New Hope, Illinois, you knew what you were doing there. You weren't walking in there blindly.
Right.
You came in off a shitty bender or whatever the case was enough where you're like, you know what? And this is a question you always hear people say, well, what I did differently this time, or what you hear someone asking is, what'd you do differently this time? Did you know walking in before being introduced to the guys at Squad 20, like, this time I'm done, I'm giving up, or did that happen over the next few weeks? How did that go for you?
So I
Where
knew
it was different.
I knew I was pretty much done the day before I walked in there.
Okay.
I was sitting in my recliner, completely toasted. And I wasn't going to tell this story, but so my grandmother passed away, I think a year and a half before I sobered up.
Okay.
She this year would have 50 years of sobriety.
Shit.
Had she been alive today.
She was in the
She
program.
sobered
or-
up here at 2218.
Dude, I was curious when I told you about the podcast. You're like, I'll be there. I'm like, don't want to know where it is. You don't need to know, because I don't know that much of your story, and I didn't want to ask you much because I prefer to meet you more on air.
Right.
Regardless of what we know each other of the meeting, but so you've got a history with this club.
Yes.
Grandma got 50 years and she started here, huh? That's some good. Hey, keep going. So
and
yeah.
she was my hero, and her and I had a very special bond. When I went to treatment the first time, I told her that I was going to treatment, and she hugged me and she goes, "I knew you were my favorite." So, anyways, going back to the day before I got sober, sitting in my recliner, alcohol and drugs just stopped working. Paranoia and anxiety were through the roof. Just thinking to myself, something's got to change. I can't live like this anymore. The insanity's got to stop. Then I remember what my grandma used to always say to me, "Nicholas, you're not fucking special. Go to a damn meeting."
I love
And I
it.
think that's what changed for me the most.
Grandma would
is-
tell you straight up, "Hey, you're not special."
No. I mean,
I love it.
I was her favorite, but I wasn't special.
Was that because like were you always around her like a boo-hoo, poor me, but this is worse for me type of a selfishness type deal, and
Yeah.
she was seeing that?
Yeah.
Okay, and
She saw right through me.
okay,
So, and you know, when you ask what changed or what's different, I think that's the biggest thing that was different is I realized that I'm not special. I don't know anything.
right.
I don't know anything. And so I was to the point where I'm like, you know what, I'm going to go in there. I'm going to do it their way this time. I'm done doing it my way. My way gets me drunk again. And so I found a sponsor who had something that I wanted. And he walked into the rooms with just a giant dopey smile on his face. And he's just way too happy all the time and always gives, like, has like this very empathetic and compassionate way of looking at people even when they treat him badly. And it's just like, I want that because I'm always the guy that goes to
So
anger.
you weren't thinking like, oh, he's got a brand new Harley out there. You meant something that he has on the inside. That's what you
Right.
wanted.
Yeah.
Because I was in early recovery, I thought I picked a guy who had a brand new truck and his own house. Like, I'm serious. I wanted what he had.
Right.
Material shit. I didn't know in early recovery.
Yeah. Don't. That's not what they mean when they say find a sponsor that has something that you want. Find those character traits that they have
That you want.
that you want.
Yeah. Okay.
Find somebody that you can look up to. When you look at somebody, you go, yeah, that's the man I want to be someday, or that's the woman I want to be someday. He just had this happiness and this serenity and this peace about him, and I wanted just a piece of it. I just wanted even if he could give me a fraction of what he had, I needed it in my life. And so, and I've gotten some of that. I still find myself struggling to be on his level. But
So would you say that this statement's true? Like, if you want what they have, do what they do?
yes,
Okay. So now this person who you asked to be your sponsor, or wait, did you ask or did he approach you? How did that go?
I asked him to be my sponsor.
Okay.
And I'll be honest, I sponsor shopped for a while. I sponsor shopped for
What
a
do you
while.
mean? What does that mean?
I would go to a sponsor, then I would find something wrong with them, and I'd move on. And then I go to a different sponsor, and I find something wrong with them, or they told me something I didn't want to hear, and I'd move on. But then I finally found this guy, and I asked him to be my sponsor, and he was overjoyed, and happy to work with me. And I thought that was kind of cool, because I'm like, you're gonna regret it. But I don't think he does. I hope.
Well, at the end of the day, I'm going to tell you something that I've learned is sponsoring someone keeps me clean, keeps me sober. No matter, and usually the more fucked up the sponsee is, the cleaner I stay, the more sober I stay. Like, I've always said this is that, like, our predecessors were some genius wizards, which realistically it's a lot of common sense, but like, they've got this whole thing set up to give it back because it was freely given to us. But while you're busy giving it back, you're too busy giving it back to pick up a drink or
Right.
whatever the case. So you get in there. How long before you got a sponsor?
I think I asked somebody to be my temporary sponsor the first day I went into Squad 20.
And that was the Thursday that you came into New Hope?
Yep.
And Charlie's
Well,
like, oh,
no. So I came into New Hope, I think, on a Wednesday, and then that next day, I can't remember the date, May 18th, 2019. If anybody knows what day that was,
May 18th, 2020, you say?
2019.
It was May 18th.
It was, yeah. Which day of the week though? I don't know.
I'll tell you right
It
now.
ended in a Y.
It did. It did. I
May-
remember that.
May 18th was a Monday, bro. May 18th, 2020
Monday.
was
Okay,
a Monday.
So yeah, and then I showed up to. I think I showed up to a couple other meetings, but
It was, matter of fact, it was National Patriots Day, if you wanted to know. But okay,
I remember my first meeting, and I might have went to other ones before that, but I remember my first meeting being Squad 20. That was the one that stuck in my head.
right.
And it was because I had never seen, and maybe it was just the way that my brain was ready to receive. I had never seen a group of guys with so much joy
Yeah, happiness. Yep.
and happiness and just this great outlook on life and such a deep love and knowledge of the program.
Right.
I mean, they just eat, breathe, and sleep AA.
It feels that way. Like, and it's hard for me to be a good host and just sit and let you talk the way I should, and I usually do. But I'm right in your boat. Like, I'm in your wheelhouse of the same thing. The difference is I didn't realize you had attempted coming to the rooms of recovery and doing this prior to. So for me, it was like, my story is I was able to go to a meeting every day of the week, whether it was NAAA, CMA, FA, GGDW, whatever A's, for every day of the week. And like I said, it was 6 months in before I got to that stag meeting, and everything changed. Like, so the different question I have for you is like, for me, I just thought, for my story is I walked in that room, I'm like, wow, this is what recovery can be. Or maybe it's just how my mind finally decided to start hearing things. But for someone who's been around the rooms, then you finally get to that room with those type of men, that type of recovery. That's what you're like. Kind of explain that, how that was a different meeting from anything else you experienced.
It was just the kick in the ass I needed, and I never went to book meetings. I thought they were boring, and I just tuned out. And I didn't want to hear the God stuff. I didn't want to hear you're gonna have to try.
Right.
You know, because I wasn't ready. I was like, you know what? You guys are gonna teach me how to drink responsibly. I'm gonna get the hell out of here and hit the bar.
Well, we had a guy tell us last night, we're here to help show you it's time to grow the fuck up. And we're talking, we had a room of what, 40 people, 50?
Yeah.
And he looked out, basically each and every one of us put his fingers in our face and said, this isn't, we're not here to help, we're not here to this, we're not here to that. This, you come to this to grow the fuck up. No more, you can't depend on mommy, you can't depend on who or X, Y, Z. You depend on you, and it's time to grow up. Like, this program has given us this back, to grow up. It's a room full of guys that aren't going to co-sign your shit. They're not going to go, boo-hoo, poor you. They're going to say, oh, yeah, there's not a story you're going to surprise them with, ever. They'll each tell you the same thing, like, yes, we've heard, we understand that. Now what? They're in the solution. And like he said, like, it's not, I'm over here trying to sell Elena on a men's meeting.
Okay, so for the gentlemen that have tuned in, tell them again where and when and the time and everything of this meeting, so that
Thursday
way.
nights at 6:30 at New Hope Alano, Squad 20.
Okay.
It is a men's big book study.
Yes. And what we do is we just, wherever, we're on page 87 right now, or 88. We read until someone speaks up. It's just like the 1010,
It's just like the 1010,
but
which
a
I
lot
tell
better.
people.
So, no, I knew I'd hit a chord with her. No, what it is we pick up the big book and we get a designated reader, and usually after each paragraph, we pause a second if someone wants to start bringing up something that they've highlighted in their book or something about the way they feel that paragraph meant. A lot of times I relate big book meetings to like going to church in a way that I love hearing 10 different pastors talk about the same verse, because you're going to get 10 different definitions. Same with a big book situation. We have a room full of 40 guys. We read one paragraph, you get 5 different guys sharing about that paragraph in different lights. Like, and for me, that's growth.
The best thing about a big book meeting is if you sit, use me as an example. If I sat in front of a big book when I first came into recovery many, many years ago, I would fall asleep. If you sit in a big book meeting and you have people going through that big book with you and explaining to you and telling you what all those words from 1940 meant, then it's easier for you to understand what it means.
Although
It's-
I found out a whoopee party really is a whoopee party.
Yes, it is. So it's easier for you to understand and comprehend what is going on. It's easier for you to take somebody else's story and change it. It's easier for you to sit in a room and, like these guys are talking about a men's meeting, you can sit in a meeting and you can read the story to the wives and not just think that it's for only the wives.
Yeah.
You can change things around because you can open your perspective of this book.
Yeah.
It's not just certain things. I think everyone should go to a big book meeting.
Well,
That's my personal.
And that's what work. You'll find your own niche. How much do we preach this on the show that you've got to find your own? You got to have your own
Yes.
experience. I can't have Nick's experience. He can't have mine. Go find your own. But the key thing is have one.
It is, but you can always learn from other people's experiences. You can,
Hell yes.
if someone says they went to a big book meeting, go check it out. If somebody went to a 12 by 12 meeting, go check it out.
Yeah,
If you don't
speaking
like
me,
it,
anything.
then go to an open meeting.
It's
You can
like-
find something that works for you.
I've yet to be like, I'll never get that hour back. I've yet to leave a meeting mad that I went to that meeting. Last night's a great example. Wasn't in the mood for a meeting. Worked all day. Wasn't in the mood for a meeting. I left that meeting happy. Real happy. Like I always do. All right, so we're going to kind of switch up gears here. Nick,
Yeah,
you are a father.
I am.
What is recovery done for you as a father?
It has taught me how to be patient. Definitely. I have a 3.5-year-old. Patience is necessary. But in that sense too, I co-parent.
Yeah, we'll get to that question too.
And I have to have patience there as well. But I think for me, it's also taught me that I need to bring my kids into this. They don't need to know all the nitty-gritty details, but they need to be a part of my AA family. Because those people are going to be there for them if dad screws up. I hope God willing I won't, but those people need to know my children. My children need to know them. They need to feel like they're family.
Right.
in my family.
And you've got a tight, like I know, like I think Zeke and you've got a tight, like you've got a little group of buddies that you've really gotten close with, like really close with, right?
Yep.
That know your family too, correct?
Correct.
So you know what? Real quick side note: anyone listening, if you're trying to share the show, I just got 3 separate messages. If you're trying to share the show, I'm real sorry that we're having issues sharing it through Messenger. My best advice, unfortunately, is share it to your Facebook page. That's what you can do. Share it to your Facebook page. I suggest that's how you do it.
I got some advice for that.
Oh, okay. Sure.
Here's the best advice for that. If you are listening to our show right now, I want you to go to the 2218 Attitude for Gratitude live stream regular page, and I want you to like it. And then
Oh, yeah, there you
every
go.
week,
There you go.
every week when we go live, you are going to get a notification on your phone that tells you that we are live. And then I want you to, everyone that you share it to, I want you to tell them to go like the page for 2218 Attitude for Gratitude live stream.
And make this your
And
podcast.
every week they will get a notification at 10 minutes to 9 that's going to tell them that the podcast is about to start. And then you will never miss this podcast. You will never miss a chance to share it because it's already going to be there on your phone. And everyone that you normally share it with, it's already going to be on their phone.
Yes, 100%. Side note, it's a little bit more advertising. We're going to jump back into Nick being a dad and co-parenting. Jane runs this thing called the Gratitude Cafe. Now, she had a menu up, and the menu is this: meatloaf, homemade, mashed potatoes, real mashed potatoes, gravy, homemade gravy, corn, strawberry jello bananas, strawberry jello, strawberry cake, chocolate cookies, water or coffee. You get all this for like $5-6. That's here at 2218 from 5 to 7 p.m. Come on down here, take advantage of that. That is, and it's not, I'm not sure if we're down to guaranteed every single week we're doing that. I'm not 100% sure, and I'm sorry about that. But you can go to the 2218's Facebook page, and if we're doing it, she will put her menu up. But you can't beat it. It's home cooked food with some love, and it's awesome.
Side note to your side note, I don't think I've ever been in a meeting with Tim where he hasn't taken time to try and convince people to eat food.
Yeah. Oh, that's because we also have Tony's wife who makes the best food for us. Like, it's all sweets, but homemade baked goods. Every meeting usually when he's there. So like that was tonight that she fed the public, I believe. Yeah, it was on the 4th today. So Fridays 5 to 7. Come on down here on Fridays. And if that changes, it'll be on here. So co-parenting, what's that like? Did you have support from mom, or like is she got your back on this, or how are you able to deal with mom and the children and co-parenting in recovery?
I'm gonna be careful what I say here. I have two kids from 2 different mothers. My daughter I share custody of, and we co-parent pretty well. We didn't always. It's been a long process and a lot of learning, a lot of frustration, but we get along pretty well, and we see eye to eye on pretty much everything. We don't have big arguments.
That's nice. That's always nice.
And I think for me, the program has really helped me learn when to pick a fight and when to just keep my mouth shut. You know, when I need to stand up and say something, when I don't need to. Remove my ego from the situation.
Yes. Now there's a connection there from, you were talking about how grandma said you're not special. Well, not you're not special, but your story's nothing special. Like,
Yeah.
get rid of your self-centeredness. Now, does that go hand in hand with kind of your ego? And when it comes to, let's just say, disagreements amongst parents, like, are you able to set that shit aside, and is that a direct cause to your recovery? If so, tell us about it.
Depends on how quickly you think I can set that aside.
Well, and that's part of it.
You know, for me, when I feel myself getting angry before I react to something, and this is the beauty of technology, is text messaging. I don't have to respond right away. I can usually pick up the phone, call my sponsor, call somebody at Squad 20, whatever I need to do, talk through it with a couple of people, and
But you
I-
do that, right?
yeah.
You do utilize
Every
the connect.
time.
Yes. There you
every
go.
time. And usually, if I talk to 2 or 3 other people in recovery, I usually have my answer. And then I can kind of respond. I can't do that on my own yet. I'm working on it, but I can't always do that on my own. That being said, co-parenting with my son's mom has been a different thing. Both of us struggle, and that's all I'll say about that.
You'll talk about yourself. So okay, so now you're working in program of recovery.
Yep.
That has made life easier for what you have control over, correct?
Right, and I came to the realization that what the other parent does is not my problem. My job is to take care of my son and take care of myself.
Right. That's it. Very
Um,
safely said.
And at the end of the day, I do that. Sometimes not great. I'm not great at it, but most days I can focus on my son. I can focus on me. Do what I need to do to keep us happy and healthy.
Right.
And it's been 2 years, just me and him. So
Well, and I don't know much of your experience. I guess your drunkalogs, what have you. But when we end up in these rooms, usually what preceded that was, like you said, not a winning streak.
Right.
So now a big difference, and I can just speak for myself, but you can touch on this, is when there is issues with the other parent or when there's a tough day, you go jump in a bottle. Like, wash the sorrows away, escape. Like, now you get to be present and you get to grow through those situations, correct?
right.
And
I get to figure out new ways to
it
take
wasn't
the
really
higher
that good of a
road.
question, but I was trying to pump up the.
No,
yeah,
no, I get to figure out new ways to take the high road every single time.
There you go.
And it's all about focusing on, am I going to regret what I said or did when I lay my head down on the pillow at the end of the day? Like, if I can walk away from that with frustration toward the reaction, but being confident in what I did, that's okay. I can deal with frustration. I can pray that away.
There you go.
You
You
know,
hear that, guys? You can pray
Yeah.
that away to his higher power. So, single dad, co-parenting, couple years under your belt, chairing a big meeting with all these guys with this recovery. We're gonna kind of talk about connections and what do they mean to you in your recovery? How important are they? Are they important at all? Have you made any? If you have, what have they done for you? Blah blah blah. Talk to me about connection.
connection. I've actually got that in my notes here. I actually have guys in my meetings within my sobriety network that I consider brothers. These guys know more about me than my actual blood brother.
Right.
And I mean, guys that hug each other at the end of a conversation and say, "I love you, man." Nowhere else have I ever gotten that.
And they mean it.
And they mean it.
Yeah.
They truly, from the bottom of their hearts, mean it. And that has been the most important thing to me, to have that bond, because now that I have that bond, I have no problem grabbing one of those guys and going, "I'm hurting.
Right.
I'm struggling. Help me." You
Right.
know? And they know me well enough to pull me aside and go, "Okay, let's do this." Because of my connections, my first reaction now isn't to go climb inside a bottle. It's to go grab another alcoholic and go, "Dude, I'm hurting."
Right.
You know?
Utilizing the connections you've made. And it saves lives.
Yeah.
Like, I know it saved my life. So that's a lot of recovery talking that we did. I want to talk about some voiceover stuff.
Cutting out.
So if we're having internet issues, I apologize. If things let's just keep this real. We have no internet at the club this month or this week or something. So we are using Tim's hotspot off his phone to run this show. So if you're getting cut in and out, I was wondering because some of the viewership cut out then went back in. We apologize about that. We appreciate your patience, as well as make this your show. If you have questions for our guests, please post those. We're always adamant about making sure you know this is your show. And if you have questions, just post them. You said to me something about voiceover work. What do you do for work if you want to share about it? And does any of it have to do with recovery, or has recovery helped with any of it? Talk to us.
Yeah. So, well, I'll start with I just accepted an offer for a new job.
All right, congrats.
So, yeah. So I'll be doing some recruiting for a recruiting firm for the manufacturing industry. I worked in manufacturing for 15, 16 years. But my true passions lie. I am a musical theater actor and do a little voice acting. And honestly, I had a 9-year stint, drinking, where I stopped performing.
Because of booze or whatever?
Yeah, I didn't have time for that. I had to be drunk.
Right. Right.
And I lost myself, and stopped doing the things that brought me true joy. And when I sobered up, I started acting again. Actually, somebody in my network, in sobriety, told me about an audition.
Was it? Or I remember you guys talking. You were in earlier. What? Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
So somebody told me about an audition because they knew that I was interested in getting back into it, and I went and auditioned, and it's the best thing I ever did. I ended up getting 2 big roles out of it, and got to get back on stage, and it just solidified that me being sober gave me back the thing I love to do the most.
Something you have passion for.
And I knew, and I still know, that if I were to take a drink today, I would lose it all over again.
Gonzo.
And I work with a local performing arts center, and I do dialect coaching with them, and I'm costuming a show for them. I'm going to be teaching some classes. And I directed my first radio show, which was awesome.
Nice.
And I mean, things that I never thought I would get to do a couple years ago. You know, things that I never thought I was capable of or I was good enough for. But being sober and finding out my true worth, it gave me the confidence and the ability to pursue those things.
So to look back on it now, because you're at where you're at, you could chalk up a lot of all where you're at right now because of being in recovery now. Getting back into your passion, enjoying this radio show you got to direct or produce. This is all direct correlation of recovery.
Everything.
Everything.
Everything that I have in my life today is because I sobered up. And I work my program, and I immerse myself in the program.
It's a big advertisement for recovery. Wow, on a recovery podcast.
What?
Who'd have thunk? So, we have another question here I wanted to ask you. It's a basic same question I get each week from the same person asking, Nick, if there was one thing you could change about yourself with no strings attached, what would it be?
Oh boy.
Yeah. Anything. Mental, physical, emotional, anything.
Yeah. I would say, and this gets in the way the most, is I let my lack of self-worth get in the way of my accomplishments. And I try really hard not to let that happen anymore. But for so long, and still, I still do it sometimes, but for so long, I let the idea that I don't think I deserve anything good, that I'm not good enough, get in the way of me doing what I want to do and being happy.
No strings attached.
What about you, Tim? There's some new listeners tonight.
Well, I wish I was taller. No, I'm joking.
No, you don't.
That's
No.
a song.
I hit my head.
That's
on
a
the
song.
thing.
Taller or longer? What'd you say, you weirdo? All right. You know what? Someone said something similar to that last week, and I think a lot of people could answer that way. You articulately put it into words much better than I could, but I hold myself back more than anyone else does. I'm like the creator of my own destruction more so than none. We do this thing at the end of every day where it's a kind of an inventory of my day. I reflect on my day at the end of my days. You know, where did I fall short on certain things that I feel I should not have fallen short on, or am I taking any resentments to bed with me, or do I need to reach out to anyone and make a daily amends to someone, or things of that nature? I think it goes without saying for me that the issues I have in my life today are self-made. When someone wants to be shitty with me or short or wants to roll their eyes at me or, you know, do something that all of a sudden I just going to let it get under my skin, you know what? That's on me. That's not, it's not their, someone can be a prick to me all they want. That's their deal. I can't control someone else's actions. So if I want to let their actions control me, that falls on me, not them. So, like, at the end of the day, it's things of that nature. When I let other people's actions control my actions, that's something I need to work on changing. No strings attached. That was the question. Like, I could change it with no strings attached. But I like that question because it's presented in a way of us pointing out something that apparently we think needs to be changed. But guess what? We can change it. Elena, if there's one thing you could change about yourself, no strings attached, what would it be?
Well, the only thing that, because of what you and I have been talking about lately, the only thing that I need to change lately, well, probably not the only
I was
thing.
going to say, only is a strong-ass word, Elena.
I know. I tell everybody that that is the strongest word that an addict or an alcoholic can say.
I only had one.
Thousand. My biggest pet peeve is when people say, I only have 4 days. No, you have 4 days.
No, that's the other side of that statement.
You
too,
have.
only,
Don't
yeah.
say only.
No, I got checked. Dave
So-
R checked me on that when I said I only got like 6 months. He's like, whoa. Stopped a whole
Yeah.
meeting.
Only is a big word. So I would have to say the way that I react to things.
Did you say that last week?
No, I didn't actually.
Oh, actually, why? What's wrong with the way you react to things?
Don't worry about it. I'm working on it.
Like the way you just reacted to my question?
Yeah,
Like,
I'm working on it.
Hey, that's all we can do.
I have an amazing sponsor that helps me work on things.
There you go. Utilizing the connections you've made.
Those
I
damn
know.
sponsors doing good things for you.
I know. And I was listening to what you were saying about sponsors, and I tell people this all the time. I picked a sponsor that I couldn't stand.
Was that your very first one, though?
No.
Okay.
The ones before that were
Confucius
ones that
over
could.
here
The ones
Confuciusing us.
before that were ones that could co-sign my bullshit. That's why I've been in this program since 1996 and just figured it out 3 years ago.
There you go. So we got to let the listeners and anyone else know. Like, you didn't walk in and say, all right, I got to find a sponsor that won't co-sign
No,
my shit.
I've been in this program since 1996,
And 3 years ago, you figured it
and
out.
that's a very long time, people. I'm very old, so
Yeah, we might even have people in this room who weren't even born. by the time
probably,
you,
probably, I'm probably old enough to be people's mothers.
Your lifetime in recovery is old enough to be people.
I know. But you know what? Sometimes it takes time to get things right in life. Okay? So I finally did. So you know what? We're going to move on. We're going to move on, and we're going to move on to this segment that we enjoy here at the podcast, which is called Tidbits with Timmy.
Dun, dun, dun. So, first thing I need you guys to know, it's a new addiction I have.
Oh gosh.
I'm addicted to auctions.
There's nothing wrong with those.
I'm addicted to auctions.
Is that a dad joke or are you
I
real?
became addicted after going only once, going twice, going third.
Shut up, it's a joke.
I knew it was.
Oh
I was
my
waiting for the
gosh.
punchline.
You know why the punchline took me a minute? Because I forgot the punchline, and then you had to speak again. That was dramatic effect. I'm addicted to auctions. I figured it out after only going once, going twice. All right, so this week,
God.
it's not really tidbits. I'm going to tell a little story about early COVID recovery. Early COVID recovery. And I meant to talk about this at SNL, but I didn't think there was enough time to. And you know what? I'll tell you two about it. So I was talking to a fellow person in recovery about a month after everything closed down. And, you know, at this time I had over 2 years. And I was talking to them, and they're like, Tim, you got to try Zoom. I'm like, nah, dude, I don't do Zoom. I don't do any of that shit no more. And they're like, nah, dude, it's worked for me. I can do this. It's helped out my recovery. And I'm over here like, dude, I'm in recovery. I don't do none of that shit. See, and nowadays, like, my head's like these kids and all their new drugs. I thought Zoom was a drug. I thought it was like speed or meth. Come on, Zoom. Like, so I'm sitting there going back and forth with this person on the phone. This went on for like 5 minutes, guys. And like every time he's like, no, you can do it right on your phone. I'm like, dude, I've done enough dope off my phone. Yeah, I can snort rips off my phone. I'm not doing no Zoom off my phone. I'm not doing it off a mirror, nothing. He's like, what are you talking about, Tim? Zoom works for tons of people. You don't need to be doing it with other people. I'm like, I'd never do it with other people anyways. I don't never share my shit. Like it was like a who's on first, what's on second conversation for like literally 5 minutes. He's like, whatever, man, do what you do, man. The app is easy to get. I'm like, oh, app? What are you? It didn't click for like 5 minutes. I thought dude was talking about Zoom as some meth. So Zoom, if anyone doesn't know yet, Zoom is a meeting platform you can use. Yeah, Grandpa's right. And I couldn't figure out how to tell it at SNL because I know it can be quite funny if you just heard that whole conversation. This dude's telling me about Zoom, and I'm like, dude, I don't need to get high no more. Like, I don't need your fucking Zoom. You can take your Zoom and shove it over your butt. And he's probably like, Tim, you're a prick. And that, I'm telling you, that went back and forth until he said the word app. It clicked. But the last thing, because you know, phones are like perfect off a phone. I'm like, and when he said, dude, you can do it on your phone, that's what solidified my mind to be like, yeah, dude, I don't do Zoom. Like, I already made Zoom into the new word for meth. I'm like, nah, dude, I don't do Zoom. That wasn't my thing. I'm more of a heroin guy anyways. Like, and he was probably on the other end just like, bro, you're whack, dude. So, you know what? A few weeks ago, one of the 24-hour readings, the Just for Today, was talking about, like, don't shoot the messenger. Like, be open to hear a message. And if I would have done what my first instinct was, like, fuck you, quit offering me drugs, and hung the phone up, I'm sure I would have heard about Zoom over time. But, like, try to be open. Stay open, no matter what kind of time you've got, no matter where the message is coming from. I found out the hard way. I shared this last week about Loud Dave. Like, doesn't have to be coming from a wizard to get a message. Anyone's got a message to share. That guy with 4 days might have a message to save your life. Time doesn't equal recovery.
That's right.
So, Tad, you just totally missed it.
I heard you guys laughing.
I was talking about my addiction to auctions. I figured out I was addicted after only going once, going twice. No, nothing.
I got it. I'm laughing. You should talk to Dan Jones about that. He does auction stuff.
Yeah. Well,
Auctions are fun.
Oh yeah.
we just got done with tidbits. I was telling my Zoom story, so.
Oh, so that was Tidbits with Timmy?
Yeah, it was.
And that-
It was.
I think it was
Oh.
tidbits with Grandpa.
It was Tidbits with Grandpa.
Oh.
It was a good one though. That was a story
I'll listen back.
someone told
You
me
gotta
on
listen
Zoom.
back because that was funny.
Yeah. So moving on, boys and girls. We were having issues. People were saying it's cutting out. I guess this internet.
It happens.
The best right now. So
Well, we're on Tim's internet because right now the internet is down.
yeah.
So which happens.
Yeah, we were able to still bring a show to. So you know what? Did you, Nick? Did you have any topics you wanted to talk about tonight? I know I dropped this out. You know what? Real quick, big praise to Nick. I didn't tell him about the show until about 3 hours ago, and he stepped up to the call, and he's here. So I sent you about a 12-paragraph message.
Yeah, I read like half of that.
Okay, did you get to the part where I said if you have any topics you want to bring or talk about, bring?
Yeah, I saw that part.
Let's talk. What you want to talk about?
I wanted to talk about celebrating yourself.
What?
You might be still in one of her self-care moments.
What?
It
Yes.
took me a long time to be happy for myself and to recognize my accomplishments, no matter how small they were. When I got sober, I'd be like, yeah, I went to a meeting, but I still haven't found a higher power yet, or and I'd always be down on myself. But over time, I've learned to take an opportunity each day to celebrate a new accomplishment, celebrate something that I've done right, so, a new growth, whatever it might be. And so I just wanted to talk about and encourage people. It's okay to celebrate the little things.
Yes.
It's okay to celebrate those little victories. They don't have to be these huge things like milestones in recovery. Those are not the things that I usually celebrate. It's usually like, oh my God, I only yelled at my kid once today. Nice. Or hey, somebody called and I called them back right away. It's just little things, things that I wouldn't have normally done when I was using, things that that I consider to be shortcomings. When I start to see them slip away, I go, oh, hey, I did something right, and it literally balances out for me all the times I am getting down on myself for the things that I don't do right. 'Cause
Yeah.
I have a habit. I mean, and I think a lot of people do. I have a habit of beating myself up over everything. I am my worst critic.
And if you praise yourself as you do them, it reminds you to keep doing them constantly. And then it gets into a routine, and that's what we need in life. We need routines.
Exactly. Yes.
It works. It's absolutely, I completely agree with you. That's something that I try to tell people all the time. All the time. It's the little tiny things that matter. It's not the big ones. What's that saying? Rome wasn't built in a day. You don't need to be perfect in one day because you came into the program and you did your step one. It's going to take time. It's a process.
You know how you eat an elephant?
One bite at a time.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
You never heard that one before?
No.
That's a classic. That's a classic AA.
Never heard that.
Yeah, one bite at a time.
They must say that at men's meetings because they don't say that at my meetings.
Some of them even say one step at a time.
Something like that, yeah. So we're talking about celebrating yourself, celebrating your accomplishments and stuff. Not milestones, but the growth is what he was talking about. How
So what I've learned is it's a selfishness you can give away. Simply.
elaborate.
So a lot of people say a selfish program. And the honest truth is it's about becoming more and more selfless. And how can we really have confidence and, a healthy sense of self is true integrity. It's your honesty, your moral character, your sense of wholeness is something that you learn through the practice of really running into self.
Right.
And eventually we wake up to ourselves, and if we're sick enough of whatever it is we're facing in that moment, we may be open to change. And in respect to the 12 steps and the principal actions, that can be the solution in every area of our life, it says. Every area. So it's like, wow, the solution can work in every area, whether it be food, sex, drugs, alcohol, definitely we all, in the book it says, if we're the real thing, we're definitely, we have some mental illness, and also the bottom line is when we recognize that, how does it say in the first step, abnormal? We're not normal drinkers. We're abnormal. So,
At everything.
and that was in Young Frankenstein. He said he put a Abby something's brain in him. An abnormal brain. Well, he was an alcoholic, that's for sure.
Alcohol was but a symptom.
It
I
is.
heard an old timer in a meeting one time. He said, "What happens when you remove the alcohol from an alcoholic? You still got all that ick. You gotta
Ooh.
remove it all.
Yep.
And that's what the steps are for, is to remove all the other stuff.
The ick.
Once you stop drinking, you don't have the problem with the alcohol anymore. You got a problem with yourself. And that's the real struggle. Putting the bottle down, I can do that. It's facing me that's really hard, and I have to fight that on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And that's why most of us fail, because the honest truth is the alcohol is but a symptom, and it does center in our mind the ism. And, really, when you think about honesty, hope, faith, courage, humility, you go down the list of the core principles, and then basically the actions are a suggestion, but they're, really they're prayers, but, they're actions. And I remember often I would, say I said this prayer and nothing happened, and, Harvey would say to me, "Did you do what the prayer asked you, and did you ask God?" And I'm like, probably not. But he says, crucially, to do exactly the way the prayer is written in order for us to have an actual experience with it. And that may, whatever time that is, that's when God will reveal to us when we're ready. And we don't always know when that is, and that's why we continue to practice. It's just a practice. The first step is the only one we do 100%. And, it does say in the 6th step in the 12 and 12, we do it perfectly. But the honest truth is, it's 100% admission that we do this one day at a time, and it's every day. And that's all we have is a daily reprieve. So, thank you.
No, that reminded me of something else I heard. I heard somebody say in a meeting. They said every time, all day I do AA, and then at night I go home and I lay my head down on my AA pillow, and all my AA knowledge falls out of my head into the pillow. And I gotta wake up and learn it all again. And some days it's like that. Some days I wake up a little more spiritually fit than others.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So one of the things I like to tell people, and this probably won't work for you guys because you guys are males, but one of the things I like to try to tell people is that you should never carry your stuff into the next day. You should never carry your stuff into the next day. So one of the things that I do every single day is when I get up in the morning, I take a shower to wash it all away, whether it be to wash my hair, whatever. And one of the things when I talk to sponsees or other women in the program, when they're having a bad day, I do that thing that the old grandmas used to tell us, just go wash your hair because you're going to feel better. Because it flipping works. It works. Just go wash your hair. It's like washing away the things that are happening. It's like a calming It's almost like you're meditating. It's almost like you're meditating. And I don't even know how to explain it, but even my children, everybody knows I have kids. When my kids are crabby and irritating and I want to yell at them, I tell them to go wash their hair. But in my defense, my kids are 19 and 17, so they do have their moments. They have their moments where, and I like what you said about where you praise yourself when you don't get angry or yell or anything like that at your kids. One of the things, the biggest thing that's happened to me in this last 3 years of recovery is my kids they used to tell me all the time, Mom, you need to go to a meeting. Mom, I think you should go to a meeting tonight. They don't necessarily like my friends in recovery because all my friends in recovery, some of them are a little weird, some of them aren't a little weird. Like, they don't necessarily like them. But one of the number one things that they will tell people when they meet people in recovery is that Mom doesn't yell anymore. I used to yell all the time. And now I don't know if I just don't have the energy anymore or if I found a way to stay calm or what it was. But when it comes to my kids, now I'll yell at a friend. Right? Okay. Ryan's over there shaking his head. But I'll yell at a friend in a loving, caring way because it's tough love. But when it comes to my kids, it takes a lot for me to get really angry and to yell. I think in the last 3 years, I've probably yelled 5 times. 5 times.
You said you didn't know why you did that or how, and I do. You told us. You washed your hair.
I probably did.
But I want to touch on that about the meditation. You're absolutely correct that the simplest form of meditation is when I'm sitting down and I know the dishes need to be done. And eventually I get up and I go and do the dishes, and there was a meditation in that. And just like you were talking about washing the thing, that is an absolute, some of the best meditation in the world.
Yeah.
That's really how simple it is. And when we look at the prayer, it says, what do we hear after we have said this prayer? We might invite a wife or a family member or a friend to pray with us. And then they may have other devotions or whatever. But at that point, here we meditate, and we meditate on what we just prayed on. And the thing is what did the prayer ask me? And that is a form of the meditation. And am I going to take those actions? So it's about pursuing the action in that meditation. And then we can even meditate through the action. While we're in the action, when I'm doing the dishes, it's almost like, wow. And people like, you really like doing dishes? I'm like, I never even really thought about it, but I kind of do.
I don't.
You can come to my house and do my dishes.
I know.
You can meditate all day long, clean the
I
whole
love the
house.
pots and pans. Dirtier, the better.
Really? I have 2 dishwashers, and they're both broken because they're teenagers.
At New Hope, Alano, when I started going up there, there's a guy named Kevin, old timer there. He's on the board too, but we were on squad duty, and I went in, I did the cups, and he said something to me. He's like, I've got 18 years of sobriety. Every time I come in here, I clean all the cups. Whatever's in the bin, I clean them. And I'm like, why would you do that, dude? I've never had a beer while washing cups.
Yep.
Every time I walk into New Hope, Alano, for 4 years now, I'll go in there and whatever's in that bin, I sit and wash those cups. It's the truth. I never had a beer while washing those cups.
Right.
That is a form of simple meditation.
Is that why you're always washing cups?
Every time you see me in there, that's the first thing I do is clean out the cup.
At Fergus Falls, I used to do the same thing. I had the same experience. I walked in there and they had a similar, just a kitchen style where they did their coffees, old school coffee cups, the Fergus Falls Alamo Club. And look, man, that place, I would sit up there and I would do all the dishes. Yeah. I'd go through the cupboards and I'd wash the walls and right. Like when I first got into town here, that's why I got a key at 3 months sober, because I would come in here and wash the walls, and we didn't necessarily have the best. We were paying cleaning people, but they only came a certain amount of nights. So I would just clean the whole Alamo Club, and I just go to town, and especially during the afternoons when no one was here. It was peaceful and serene, and it was great. And that's, both of my times, getting my time at Fergus Falls on the board and being president of that L&O club, and my time here from being squad council to where I am today, they all started and my peace maintained from doing things like washing the dishes, scrubbing toilets, sweeping and mopping. Simple things like that is where my serenity, and at times where I didn't have those quiet alone times to clean the dishes, to wash the walls, or I forgot about that stuff because I got too busy or whatnot, my serenity was kind of screwed. It's simple things keep me sane, at least for myself.
Very simple.
Yeah. I like, the book refers to some people are so situated they can afford to devote all their time to this. And the thing is most people really can't. And does that, basically say it's going to guarantee, sobriety? And the honest truth is they say no, The honest truth is obviously service and working with the newcomer and intensely working with a newcomer when we're in that place of desperation ourselves usually saves the day. But the thing is we do have families and lives and things that, really we have to be accountable and work these principles in all those areas of our life. And when we do get to maybe come to meetings or be of service at the clubs, that's where opening that door for more people, it's usually one or two or three that really kind of carry the load in a lot of meetings or in Alano clubs or, any other service-oriented, even churches, it's always seems to be the few that carry the many.
Yes.
And the thing is to encourage, the many to, basically really become more and more a part of it. And people often even have fear in that area. And it's like, awesome, come in and kind of get out of your comfort zone and, get involved in service and help carry the load. And it will save you from yourself.
Yes.
So you naturally get out of self when you're trying to help someone else. And so,
Well, one of the big things that I see is I go to a lot of meetings where the same people volunteer and then they ask for other people to volunteer and then people will, but then they don't show them how to do things. So if you want somebody else to volunteer, you got to actually step up and you got to show them how to do it so they continue to do it. Because people are scared.
yep.
If it's not saying hello to somebody walking through the door, I mean, we all do that. But when you have to step up and you have to either chair a meeting or facilitate a meeting, however you call it at the meeting that you go to, or reading something out loud, a lot of people have a fear of reading out loud. Like, you have to help people. You have to help nicely push them in recovery to get them more comfortable. This is a whole new world for us when we come into recovery.
Do you know me?
I know you.
I'm afraid to read in front of people
Well,
because
see?
I have dyslexia.
See, it's a good thing I brought that
I mean,
up.
now I do, but I did it. Froze me. It kept me from doing a lot of things.
I knew that you had dyslexia, and I feel like I've heard that before, but that goes right out the window because I used to regularly in my first year of sobriety go to your meeting, and you read all the time.
Yeah.
And I wasn't even talking about you.
Paragraph.
But you're absolutely right because I was one of those people that had
Yeah.
that deep-seated fear. And, when you're going through the steps and the 4-step inventory and trying to get over the fears, actually, my sponsor said we read along, but we listen to tapes. And it was like Dick and Mary tapes or whatever. And you listen to tapes and we read along and we basically, have our discussions. And that's how he did his big book studies because a lot of the older guys that were in his group, maybe even had like 8th grade, completed 8th grade,
Yeah.
And some of them I'm absolutely sure they had some form of dyslexia. Probably were never diagnosed with it, back in the 40s and the 50s they didn't. But, and Harvey would say to me, it's a gift, really, because if you're really, really literal and very intelligent, especially with, language, you're going to intellectualize this stuff rather than have a physical experience with the practice of the principles. And that's what happened with me. I started to have a physical experience with the practice and the action of the principles. And then all of a sudden, it was like, oh, wow. And I'd have a lot of those aha moments. And it was truly a gift. And the very first book in my life that I ever really read was the Alcoholics Anonymous and the 12 and 12, and then many books after that. But that was the first time I ever really read through a book. So step up
Right.
with the fear and ask God, take my fear.
That's right. That's what sometimes we have to ask for that.
Well, and sometimes, because I've experienced this too, when we want to step up and we want to help, sometimes it's intimidating because you got this group of people that sit at the main table,
Yeah.
and you think they've arrived, and people will say they're clicky. Well, that maybe, but they're not. It's not that they're clicky; it's that they're familiar. They've been going to meetings for years together. These guys are best friends. They call each other once a week, and they go to this meeting, and yeah, so there's some familiar, and you too will get there if you keep going to the same meeting, if you give it time. Go to a meeting for a month and see if by the 5th meeting they don't all call you by name, ask you how you're doing, and try and get you involved even if you're sitting in the back. I almost guarantee that you'll find some sort of connection with the people in there. And I mean, just the other thing, like a guy by the name of Mike Bolio happens to be like my third cousin, and he's a former president of this club. He told me, he said, Dad, just show up and keep cleaning and keep doing, keep helping. If everybody's going to have an opinion. One, it's easier to ask for forgiveness and permission. And two, if you just show up, everyone's going to recognize you eventually, and you're going to have the keys to this place. And he wasn't wrong. He wasn't wrong. And, he comes from a very old school way of doing things because he's an old school guy. Dan knows him very well.
I'm one of those old school guys with him.
And that's what my predecessors told me. They were just like, just show up and, take the mentality that if everybody's going to have an opinion, they're going to talk about you. If you're digging a hole in the front yard, everybody, Dan's going to walk by and be like, you should grab the shovel at the top. Elena's going to walk by and say, you should grab it at the bottom. Matt's going to walk by and say, you should grab in the middle. And, it was just suggested to me, hey, are you going to help shovel this hole? No? Okay, then I'll do it my way. Bye. And that's, that's how I was taught. Old school AA. Everybody has an opinion about everything. And if they're not helping, if you're not going to help, I don't want to hear. If you're not going to be in the trenches with me and Dan trying to save the Elno Club, your opinion is valid, and I truly value everybody and everything they have to say. But if you're going to stand up on the hill and tell me and Dan how to dig this trench, you know what? You're not in the trenches. You don't get to tell me and Dan how to dig the trench. I don't know. And it's something that once I got that and I started loving myself, it didn't matter what people said to me. Well, you know me. You know how it was. Mm-hmm. I was flipping out. You and Dan both know me. I was flipping out all the time, and I couldn't take any criticism because I was insecure with myself.
I think there's a question someone posted.
The right. What question?
Opinions are like,
What part has service work played in your recovery? Go.
When I first started going to the New Hope Alano, I heard that they needed somebody to grill burgers on Tuesday nights. And immediately I jumped on that, and every week I was there, and it was amazing. It gave me a chance to meet people. It gave people a chance to meet me so that I could quickly build my network. It got me outside of myself and gave me a chance to be of service, which I never did when I was drinking. I was all about me.
So you were talking about how it gave you a chance to meet people, like being up at the front desk here or something like that. You're there, and everyone has to say hi to you to get a burger.
Yeah, pretty much.
Or wait and chit chat you up while they're waiting for a burger. So you got a lot of talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I was, sitting right out in the parking lot grilling burgers, and people can smell it. People want to come talk to the guy that has the food. I mean, that's just what it is. And I got to know everybody really quickly, and it gave me a sense of belonging. It gave me a sense of ownership in the club and in the program.
Heck yeah. And
That's huge.
how important was that for you in staying in recovery and personally?
I truly believe that played a huge part in keeping me sober that first year. It's hard to explain. I can't put it into words because there was something there's something magical about doing service work. Even when it's stuff that you don't necessarily want to be doing, there's always one person that comes by and tells you how much they appreciate you. And when you come from a spot that I was in where nobody really appreciated anything I was doing, that feels good.
Preach. Hell
You
yeah.
know, and it gave me that, anytime that happened, it would give me that strength to go one more day.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Elena?
Yeah. So I have always been big into service work. And I talked about this earlier that I've been in recovery for a really long time. When I first started in recovery, I was the person that would walk around and empty ashtrays. And I would wash ashtrays. Because the old timers would be sitting. I used to go to Anoka Alano when it was in the old creamery. I'm dating myself here, people. That was a really long time ago.
Hasn't been there in a long time.
So you seriously?
I'm at 98.
Now you
She just. Thanks,
Okay.
Tim.
The point is, none of you are that old.
The point is that I used to walk around and I'd empty ashtrays and I would do things like that. I would jump in and do little things like we'd do car washes with the youth groups. We would do little things to earn money. We would find ways to make things work. And now in recovery, I do things like I've chaired meetings. I ran for a board. I was on a board at an Alano.
You were the president of an Al-Anon club.
Yeah, we won't talk about that. and there's so many things that I do, and I don't do it so that way people recognize what I'm doing. I do it because I need something to do. I need something to do. It helps me stay sober. It helps me find people in recovery to work with. That's where I've met most of my sponsees. That's where I've met 90% of my recovery family, just going to different meetings and whatever else. That's the kind of thing that I like to do. I think service work, besides doing your step work, is one of the most important things to do in recovery. And it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter if you stand and you hold the door or if you read something at a meeting. Service work is service work. No matter what you're doing, you could push in the chairs at the end of the meeting. It is service work. So don't let anybody ever tell you that what you're doing isn't service work. If you're helping somebody in that meeting or in that Alano or that church or wherever you are, that is a service.
Dan, what part has service work played in your recovery?
It's touched every aspect of my recovery. Thank you, Elena. And what's your name?
Nick.
Nick. Thank you, Nick. That's my son's name.
It's a good name.
And
My
thanks,
brother's
Tad.
name.
Today I have all these little, I call them isms,
Isms.
and some people call them Danisms.
Bottom line is,
I've heard that.
And, ultimate greeting. And one of the things is, I remember walking into a club and people all kind of looked at you and like, who are you? And I'm standing there and, basically felt kind of like an outsider. And I left and I went and talked to my sponsor. And Harvey goes, "Did you greet him?" And I'm like, "Well, wouldn't they greet me?" "Well, I don't know. I mean, yeah, hopefully they would, but just greet them." And, obviously I've had more experiences like that, and I started to go in and just greet people. And eventually I come to what I consider being an ultimate greeter. And making coffee,
opening doors. A part of my story is holding the door for people and opening the door for people. And, you know, you make some form of a connection, but in the rooms when you're making coffee, setting up chairs and, you know, getting the books out and doing those things, you know, the newcomer comes in and he thinks you know something. And the honest truth is you really don't know anything. You're just doing service work, but you make a connection with them. And then they start helping. Do you need some help? You know, or maybe they don't. Maybe they go sit in a corner and you have an opportunity to have conversation with them. And the next thing you know, that's a part of that camaraderie that, you know, we basically grow up in, and it's all based in service. You know, every form of service, like Elena said. It's just like, you know, what a gift to get outside of self, and you never ever thought you would get the kind of payback that we do. It's just incredible. The uplifting feeling of just being helpful. And I remember my grandma would sit there and say, you know, either you have a mind full of hatefulness or a mind full of helpfulness. Which one do you choose? And she go, well, that was pretty simple.
Right.
And she was about the simple part, you know. One of the beautiful statements that Dr. Bob said to Bill, and Bill, it was right prior to Dr. Bob dying. It was the last time Bill seen Dr. Bob alive, and Bill standing on the steps, looking in the doorway and seeing Bob in his long frame, and he looks at Bill, and Bill's all concerned about the 12 in 12 being finished and go to the printer. And Dr. Bob says, remember, Bill, let's not louse this thing up. Keep it simple. With that, I'll pass.
Louse
Let's
it
not
up,
louse
mess it
this
up.
thing up.
Keep it simple.
Keep it simple.
We got another. Damn, I thought I was gonna skip right over that.
No.
Tad, what has service work done for you, and what does it mean to you?
Service work and I have a very complex relationship.
Oh.
If you know me, people know that I've almost been addicted to service work. There was a point in time where I've done 40 to 60 hours a week up here, and I don't say that to brag because it was a detriment to me.
Don't you have,
Some
don't you
are
have
sicker than others.
Don't you have a service? Wait, don't you have a service sponsor? Service work sponsor?
I did. I do not anymore.
Oh, okay.
I'm looking for a new one, but I did have a service work sponsor
'Kay.
because of that. Because I was service work became my new life, and for a while, and you know, some are sicker than others, like Dan said. Anytime I get stressed or I'm not doing all right, I will be up here trying to do something. That's an old habit, and you know. Sometimes I'd even use service work when I had a service work sponsor. I'd be like, "Oh, I paid all my bills, I did all my chores, I did all this stuff. I'm gonna go do service work at 2218 for a reward." It became. I have a complicated relationship with it, but it's kept me sober, and I knew that from my last time, and spreading service work, the message, and so what I forgot. And I've been sharing this, is that in addition to doing service work, not only do I have to work my program, but somewhere in there I forgot that I have to work one-on-one with sponsees. Because if I don't do that, if I don't work one-on-one with sponsees, I don't get my medicine. It might be good for them, but it saves my life and it keeps my head out of my ass by working one-on-one with another drug addict or alcoholic. The work I do with my sponsees keeps my ego in check, and it keeps me humble, and it feeds me. It feeds my soul. So every time when I've been saying I've been burnt out from being here at the club too much or the same meetings, I haven't been working with sponsees. That's what feeds, you know, and maybe something different feeds Dan's soul, but that's what feeds my soul, is working with sponsees.
Everyone is different in that, but the one thing that it does rob us of, and we may not be fully aware of it, is it takes away that love and tolerance is our code. We
Yeah.
kind of lose that in the pride of service. And service isn't about pride.
No.
And the thing
not
is
about
our
titles.
egos start getting involved, And the next thing you know, all of a sudden, this is important. And it's like, wait a minute, you know, if I'm stepping on the toes of my fellows. So the voice of reason is something that, you know, I've always tried to bring to those areas, that service really shouldn't be something that gets me angry. There's something inside me that really needs to be dealt with, and that is where, when I'm in that place, you know, and I'm disturbed, that 4-step resentment prayer is crucial, especially in service. So the steps and the core principles apply in every area again.
Can you say it? I know you got it memorized.
The
4-step prayer.
well, basically, the first attitude change is perhaps people that have wronged us are spiritually sick. And the prayer in itself, leading up to the prayer, is what they do disturbs us. When we're disturbed, there's something wrong with us. They, like ourselves, are sick too. We're not excluding ourselves from being just as sick as they are. Actually, we really need to know what that empathy and passion is about the fact that we can really be just as sick, and the more that we try to fight what it is that they may be offering, the truth is that's where we ask God. So here we ask God really to grant them tolerance, pity, and patience. There's the 3 actions. And the second attitude change, that we cheerfully, and it isn't about being all giddy and joyful and, you know, kind of overwhelming and in your face. No, the cheerful joy is about empathy and compassion, and understanding that we can be just as sick as they are and have been. And here, basically, we're asking that we can grant them cheerfully as we would a sick friend. This is the third attitude change. The very first thing I said to my sponsor was, well, they're not friends. And Harvey said to me, that prayer don't give a shit what you think.
Oh my gosh.
You say it and do it exactly the way it is written, and you'll have an experience with it. God saved me from being angry. But just prior to God saving me from being angry is, where can I be helpful to him or her? But where can I be helpful? And the thing is you know where I might be able to be helpful? By zipping it, not saying an effing thing. Right. Taking action. And the thing is in that process, then am I really ready for him to take that anger? Am I able to really be loving and of my loving mind? And the thing is that's what that prayer really shares with me, that there's a lot of times I'm not of my loving mind. And I heard earlier someone talking about, I just react. And today I don't have to react. I can step back when I'm disturbed or agitated. I have an automatic pause today, and that's something that comes through practice, and it's not easy. I definitely know this, and so the gracious gift of the practice of the prayers of action are exactly that. It's grace. It's His grace, and it's in us and through us. It's not of us. With that, I'll pass.
Heck yeah. Hey, before we get into closing the show, there's another question from young Matthew. And what are you most grateful for in your recovery? So this isn't gratitude. This is, what are you most grateful for in your recovery? Tim, did you want to touch on that and talk about service work quick? Answer them both.
So I already talked about my service work. The best thing that I've done is every time I step foot at New Hope, Alano, first thing I do is clear the bin. And it's exactly like I was saying. The reason I even started was to be like someone else. But his answer to me is why he did it was, I've never had a beer while washing coffee cups. That was just, that's helped me out immensely. And the other thing is, I have never gotten high while doing service work. That statement in itself is enough for me to start.
Hell yeah.
But I have, over time, I've figured out, and I've agreed with it, that a guy with 10 minutes clean time showing up to a meeting, sitting down next to me, he's providing service work for me. just showing up is service work. So show up. Connections. That's what I am really grateful for. I've been preaching that for a while now. Is the connections that I've made, I have to utilize them. That is what I'm really grateful for, figuring that aspect out. So Ted, let's ask Nick, what are you most grateful for in your recovery?
I only get to pick one.
Well, yeah,
You'll
but
also-
but
we'll
but save
wrap up
because at
with
the
that.
end of the show we do a gratitude thing because it's attitude for gratitude. Everyone says what they're grateful for today. Yep.
About your recovery.
So we're gonna get a double dose of
Just one
gratitude
of the things
today.
that stands out.
Well, I think it goes along with what you were just talking about, Dan. Is I'm grateful for my ability now to look at people that would normally irritate me,
Whoa.
and basically look at their behavior and go, okay, what was I feeling when I was acting that way? Oh, I was miserable. I was alone. I was in pain. And then I can meet them with some compassion. I can put myself in their shoes and go, okay, all right, I get it. I forgive you. And the ability to do that, it is not constant. It does not come easy, like you said, but I am definitely grateful for it because it has kept me from burning a lot of bridges.
Hell yeah,
Well put, Nicholas.
Nicholas.
that was pretty. That was impressive.
I like that.
Dad, what are you most grateful for in your recovery?
In my recovery,
Yeah.
my friends. It's easy. My friends, my sober family. Everyone in this room, everyone I've done, because I haven't done anything without my friends. Worst case scenario, if I'm cleaning the walls here by myself, still someone had to either let me in the building or someone's on my mind and I'm praying for them. Everything I've done, from this show to my work on the board to my work with Squad Council to everything, well in recovery, I have done with the help of my friends in recovery. And, quite a few of them are in this room. And, it's because, like, look, man, my friends in recovery who have changed over the years, they held me up at times. There have been times where, I didn't want to do it anymore. I didn't want to be sober. I didn't want to live early on in recovery, or I didn't know how to love myself. My friends held me up by the back of my shirt sometimes. Elena, what are you most grateful for in your recovery?
I'm grateful that when I tell people that I'll be there now, I'm there. I'm not flaky anymore. I used to be, you be quiet, Tim. I used to be, if nobody can hear Tim, he's shouting things in the background. So, yep, he's still
be
shouting
quiet,
things in
Tim.
the background, but nobody can hear him because it's like he's in China back there in the corner. So I'm there when people actually need me to be there. And when I tell people that I'm going to be there, I'm there. And that's one of the biggest things for me because when it came to family before, I wasn't there. When it came to even my kids, I would find a way to be away from them for the dumbest reasons. And now I try to fight to hang out with my kid that still lives with me, but that's like pulling teeth. But I'm very grateful. No matter what I'm going through in a day, I'm always grateful. So, Dan, how about you?
So read the question back to me. I want to hear the words. Tim.
What are you most grateful for in your recovery? In your recovery or about your recovery? Dad.
In your recovery.
In your recovery, what are you most grateful for in your recovery?
And it's something that I looked back and I realized, and it was the stainless steel mirror in the St. Peter jail, the admission psychologist at Johnson Hall, what is the treatment center? Johnson Hall Treatment Center. And the very thing after truly not even realizing, because I had no idea that I was going to get involved in this program at all. This is not what I chose. It was brought to me. What am I most grateful for in my recovery is God doing for me what I cannot do for myself.
Mic drop.
Beautiful.
Good stuff.
So, I'm not really on the mic right now in a seat. What I want to say before I'm not on the mic anymore is you're not alone tonight. You need to reach out if you're struggling. No one knows if you're struggling unless
You're
you
loved.
speak up. You are loved. Just reach
matter.
out. You do matter. We've all put our numbers down. Please reach out to one of us. And if we don't answer, keep going through your contacts. Get to a meeting, get a meeting list, a phone list. Reach out if you're struggling.
Here at 2218, which supports us and is the world's oldest continuously running Alano club in the world, which I said world twice, but whatever. That's how old it is. It's got world twice in that promo. We're a nonprofit, so if you or anyone you know would like to donate, the links are in the comments. Look, man, we had a great show tonight. I want to thank our guests before we get into gratitude. Thank you, Nicholas. Thank you, Dan. I want to thank my team, my hosts, Tim and Elena, and I want to thank our technical producer tonight on the computer, Matt, and I want to thank the people in studio with us, just cheering us on, our super fan over there, Ryan, Mr. Ryan, he's always in the comment. Ryan D, he's a super fan. We're going to get into gratitude. Next week, we have a great show. We have former Vice President Pete S, and we have Eric N are going to be on. And it's going to be a good show. Eric was supposed to be on tonight, but he had some stuff he had to do, and I just moved him to next week. So it's going to be an interesting show. These two are both two of the most intellectual people I know. They approach sobriety from an intellectual standpoint, and that's okay. Different strokes for different folks. I'm an emotional person. So, and that's, I approach sobriety from how I feel, from caring, and sometimes to my detriment. Caring screws me over. So, that being said, Tim, what are you grateful for today?
Family, mommy, my mother, family, connections that I've utilized, family. I'm really grateful for the bridges that I've burnt who are still in my life, the people I can still lean on, and I'm grateful that I've figured out, Nick on this earlier, I don't ever foresee this coming to an end now that I've kind of realized it. I'm grateful that I reach out and ask questions that up until this point I was sure I had the answers to. As easy as, how do I be a good friend? How do I be a boyfriend? How do I pay bills? How do you get up every day and go to work? I still ask these questions of fellow alcoholics and addicts who I respect. Whether I think I know the answer to these things, I reach out still today. And I ask these questions that might have been just pretty silly to even think I didn't know the answers to. Especially the questions I'm sure I know the answers to are the ones I make sure to ask others about. I'm grateful for that stuff. I'm really grateful that I've been able to pull the curtain back and realize I don't know shit. So Nick, what are you grateful for?
Well, you already covered family, so
This
go with my
is your
family.
gratitude list, not mine.
No, I'm definitely grateful for my family, my kids, my girlfriend, but I'm also very, very grateful for my recovery family, my brothers in Squad 20. If any of you are listening, I love you.
They better be.
They better be. We'll get them. I am grateful for the ability to, again, pursue my passions, to be able to do the things I love without burning all the bridges getting there. I am grateful for the music that I'm able to create, the arts that I'm able to create. And I am super grateful for Tim because this has been an awesome opportunity. Thank you guys.
Heck yeah.
Thanks, Nick.
Mr. Superfan over there, Ryan, what are you grateful for?
Yeah. I'm grateful for friends these days and finding, actually me being more open-minded to find more real people and not judge everybody like I thought everybody was judging me. And then basically just to have my sanity, because I thought 2 weeks ago I was going downhill, and actually looking at it, I'm not that bad off. I got a lot more things to be grateful for, but today I'm thankful, mostly grateful for all you guys in this room. So thank you.
Heck yeah.
Thank
Jo-
you, Ryan.
Jonesy,
Thank you.
Jonesy, what are you grateful for?
Definitely family, the family in recovery, my meetings that I go to, and there's so many meetings. I remember I used to be a big bar hopper when I drank, and then I became a meeting hopper, and I love that definitely much more. I love, and very grateful for my Creator and the changes in my spiritual depth over the years, and I very grateful that it has continued to change. And something that Nick talked about, the AA message falling out his ear and onto his pillow, and people ask me, what do I do for my spiritual growth? What do I go to church, or and I love all forms of worships. I go to St. Mattress in the morning, and I pray with Pastor Pillow. And I go to St. Mattress at night, and I pray with Pastor Pillow. So I go every day, twice, to church. Thank you.
Hey, quick question, Dan. Quick question. If people like what they hear from you on the podcast and they're like, oh man, I wish I could get more of that guy, don't you share a meeting? And when and where is that?
Thursday night at 2218, 7 o'clock in the annex. Also Monday night upstairs, but I would say one of the things I share in my meeting is we're spoiled here in the metropolitan area, and there are many, many meetings, and they're all different, every one of them. And the honest truth is if I can't find a meeting in the metro area, I probably don't want one. So really, man, I'm telling you, check it out. And one of the things my sponsor always talked about, some people will become abstinent for so long, they'll become a fire hazard, and they'll say this doesn't work, having not worked it. Give it a shot. He would say, when people would say, keep coming back, he would say, don't go away, stay even if you hate it. And the honest truth is we'll hate it before we'll love it. So come, stay, but I'll tell you what, he would even look at me and he'd say, Dan, go out and do something, even if it's wrong. It doesn't mean you have to drink. Just do something.
Matt, what are you grateful for? And your quote.
I'm grateful for this week is I'm able to depend on myself now, not on other people. Like, because I have my own vehicle, like I have a job, like I don't have to rely on my family or just friends like help me do things anymore. So my quote is, just the fear of failure, not failure itself, has the ability to stop greatness in its tracks.
Yes. Very good, man.
Elena, what are you grateful for?
Oh, I'm grateful for all kinds of things. We know that. So I'm not going to admit that I just did this, but I just bought tickets to this awesome concert that I'm going to go to while I've been sitting here. So,
Who's the concert?
Apocalyptica.
Oh, dude, I used to love them. I forgot all about them.
I
The
love
the
them.
big string instruments.
April
Yeah.
26th. Yes, it's all music. It's all instruments. It's absolutely amazing. So I cannot wait to go to that. But I'm grateful. Yes, I'm grateful that it's the weekend, and I'm grateful that tomorrow is the meeting that I go to every week. And tomorrow night I am telling my story.
Where?
At
Where and when? Why?
Why? Because I was asked.
Sorry.
And I'm at Fridley Alano at 7 p.m. They have a general meeting once a month.
Nice.
So,
Be there or be square. Yes, I am telling my story. Last Friday of this month, right before the podcast, here in this very same room at 2218 at 7 6:30 at Phoenix NA. March 25th.
And I'm Dan, I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, Dan.
I forgot to mention, and I usually don't even like talking or anything about this, but I am sharing my experience, Strength and Hope at Saturday Night Live tomorrow night.
Yeah.
So,
What? I'm not going to be there.
I knew he was coming up in the month when I talked to the guy.
I wish I would have.
Yeah.
I wish I would have known that. I wish I would
I
have known
mean,
that.
we don't-
Hey, I just want to throw something out there really quick. If everybody that I know could send a text message on Wednesday to our friend Tim.
What's that?
I just want all of our friends on the podcast to send a message to our friend Tim on Wednesday.
Why?
Saying.
Oh, it's my birthday.
Because it's your birthday.
Oh, it's
But
your
hey, before any of you
birthday.
guys want to send me birthday wishes, I need to know from Tad what he's grateful for.
Oh shit.
you
Well, you know,
grateful
I
for?
you know, like once a month I join in with Matt with his quote. And I have a quote usually, and you know, so my quote of the month, I even got to put it on my bulletin board. Cuz you know, Mandy usually does a quote and she made me do one.
Bulletin
So,
board.
Yeah, at home we have a calendar and we do a quote for the whole month. Being a true badass has no weight or gender requirement, just 100% commitment to greatness.
Ooh, that was.
Dwayne Johnson.
Ooh, I like him.
Yeah, he's my homeboy. I call him DJ. But yeah,
He's your rock.
I want to really thank you, Nick, for coming out and stepping up to the call tonight. I did call you at 5:00, and I know you
Oh,
have
yeah.
a child, and just thank you for stepping up tonight and being on our show and sharing some experience, strength, hope with us. I really appreciate you. I love you, and I'm grateful you're in my life and part of my recovery.
Love you, brother.
so I'm grateful for, man, change, growth, and my flexibility. So something that's been said about me, and I'm not talking about stretching, because I'm a tall, lanky guy. I can't touch my fucking toes. But you know, something that's been said about me from friends and people I'm close with is, yeah, you can be hard-headed, but since you've gotten clean, if you make mistakes or something, you learn from them. Or if someone tells you something, you learn. And you know, and that's I sure as fuck wasn't flexible when I was out there using. I wasn't at all. I thought I knew everything as I'm dying, going to prison, you know, setting the world on fire, and most of the time just setting myself on fire. So I mean, I want to thank everyone for coming here. We'll have a great show next week. Tonight in Final Thoughts with Tad. It's going to be really short. Look, man, I just want to say, you know, I've said this before. Just because we don't agree doesn't mean we have to be enemies. And upon new information, you can feel a different way. You can feel a different way about a situation. I had an individual in my life, and I still haven't been able to make amends. I still haven't, for over a couple of years, haven't been able to sit down and talk to this guy about solutions and things, look him in the eye and say how we disagree with things. But, you know, someone else came to me today and they said, look, man, the man doesn't say anything bad about you. He doesn't say anything. He actually speaks very highly of you, and he thinks that you have so much more passion. And so, you know, like, I still can feel the same way about it, but I don't have to hate people. You know, Elena's a Packers fan and I'm a Vikings fan. I don't hate her. She's one of my best friends. Hey, my segment, I don't rain on your parade. Last time you rained on my parade and messed up my segment. But I don't have to hate her. You know, Elena has a segment about self-love, and I have a segment about my final thoughts and what I think. And you know, so she's sitting over here giving her Packer jives, but we don't have to hate each other. Dan Jones likes motorcycles. I like bicycles. I don't have to hate him. You know, Ryan over here likes Miami Heat and he's all over the place. We'll just skip Ryan. Matt, you know, he likes headbands and I like baseball caps. Doesn't mean we have to fight about it. And that's it, man. Too often in this society, I heard my friends earlier talking about what the problem with the world, in my opinion, this is just Tad's opinion, is that the problem with the world is that we think because we disagree with each other, we have to hate each other. We have to be against each other. That's not the case. It didn't used to be that way, and I try not to. Look, man, sometimes I live this superhero lifestyle where I think I'm a hero, and I usually get in trouble when that happens. So I try to create nemesis for myself because every great hero needs a nemesis. And most of the time, that just ends up me being an ass. So, with that, I love everyone. I love y'all. You are worth it. Tune in next time, and hey, man, everybody have a great week. Recovery on.